Well, turns out that staying in the shadows, hiding from the government, and don't doing any Punisher stuff is not Frank Castle's strongest side. My name is Daidarius and welcome to the review of The Punisher Season 2. So The Punisher Season 2 takes place a few months or maybe even years after the former season, where Frank Castle had to go into hiding because, he's killed a lot of people and been in compilation with the police force. So yeah, they didn't really look keen on him. However, he did pull Billy Russo in the hospital and stopped his charade of killing people and innocent folks and all that shit at the ending of Season 1. So they gave him a free out of jail card and just told him that if he just left New York and changed identities and then stopped killing people or bad guys, then they will leave him off the hook. So that's what he has done, and now we are here. But of course, that would be a kind of boring season if he was just going from town to town and drinking at bars and hooking up with women and listening to music. That's getting stale pretty fast. So he meets this girl who's getting into trouble, he saves her, and then a snowball effect of epic proportions starts rolling onto Frank Castle. There are some secretive, powerful people coming after this girl who wants to kill her by any means necessary and get something that she possesses. In the meanwhile, Billy Russo has returned from the dead, or his coma, has escaped the hospital and is now roaming free in New York. So Frank Castle is gonna get attacked on two fronts in this season. So that's pretty much the season. The Billy Russo thing and the fact that some evil people are coming after this girl. Seems simple enough. So what do I like about the season? Well, the acting is amazing. Especially Jon Bernthal as Frank Castle. He was born to play this role because, seriously, just all the mimics and gestures he does with his voice and his face and just his persona in general, just screams Frank Castle. I can't really put my finger on it, but it just gives away an aura of this man is horny, he has some kind of PTSD, and also he is very simple-minded in the fact that he is very old-fashioned when it comes to how to interact with women, children, and equally men. Is that the phrase that we're going to use? Yeah, that's the phrase we're going to use. And also his inner race, which often at times boils to the surface and then gets him into trouble. So that's something he should be dealing with, but the only way he can have an outlet for it is to kill bad guys. It's not really that healthy if you think about it. His acting alone is fantastic, but the rest of the cast also managed to keep up with him, especially the new girl who is a teenager. I thought she would be a nuisance to the series, and she kinda is in the first few episodes, but as time goes on, you get to care for her. It's kinda in The Last of Us how you start to latch on to Ellie throughout the game, where here you start to latch on to this girl throughout the series. So well done. Also the action is brutal as always. There's not that many action scenes as I would have hoped for, especially considering how many there were in the former season. However, when shit hits the fan, it really hits the fan, and all the action and fight scenes are brutal, and I love that it fits well with this world they have created with the Punisher. And I also love every time that Castle is hit, he just keeps pushing forward. He doesn't retreat and tend to his wounds. No, he keeps pushing forward. He is aggressive as fuck. He's like if the pit bull did a line of cocaine and then just snapped suddenly, and afterwards you just kicked it as hard as you could in the nuts. That's pretty much how Frank Castle is. But I mean, it gets the job done. He gets out of some extremely hard situations just by being, aggressive and badass and not fearing nothing. Just being a man. Psychopathic man, but man nonetheless, I guess. I also like the fact that it seems like Castle is always having some gravel in his mouth. I mean, he has never spoken with a clear voice. It's always, Curtis, have you seen Billy Russo? I hate that guy. Yeah, oh, this is my smooth voice. Then you should see me when you're doing some growling. Something like, hey, have you seen Billy Russo? Oh, that almost fucked up my voice. I don't know how he does it. Oh, Jesus. But the action is great. The way they shoot the scenes, the way they light the scenes, the way they compose the scenes, and just the way they tell the stories is engaging as hell. And with the most of these Marvel series, it's just 13 episodes long, so you can really binge it throughout a weekend, or you can watch 1 or 2 episodes per day and then have some entertainment throughout the week. I also really like some of the plot points in this series because it dived into some aspects that we really hadn't seen before. Well, we kind of saw it in the former season with the PTSD, but here it makes you feel sorry for some characters you don't really feel sorry for, shouldn't feel sorry for, I should say. For example, the 2 main opposing forces against Frank Castle is Billy Russo and a new priest guy with a hat. To begin with, you don't really feel for these characters. They are just assholes who you just want to watch Castle murder brutally. However, the further you get into the season, the more you really start to feeling for these guys. Now, that doesn't mean you forgive everything they have done or anything they have done, but you do understand where they're coming from and especially why they're doing it. What is their motivation? And if you were in their shoes, would you have done it differently? Maybe, but it's an interesting thought. Especially Billy Russo. I won't spoil what's happening to him, but if you remember in the former season's finale, Frank Castle messed up his face a lot. I mean, he grinded his face against broken glass. He smashed his head open like a freaking egg. Opening a head like that is gonna mess with your mind, and it messes with Billy Russo's mind in such a way that you do feel sorry for him. You still want him dead, but you do feel sorry for him. And just the way that this season managed to not put it in black and white, but actually have it in a gray area of where people stand, motivations, and are they good or are they bad, is just more intriguing than what we usually get with, let's say, Daredevil, where often we see Kingpin as the baddie. No doubt about it, and Matt Murdock as Daredevil, he is the good guy. But whereas here, is the Punisher really a good guy? I mean, yeah, he does kill people, but what harm doesn't he bring to innocent people surrounding the battlefield, surrounding the area, living in the area? It's just stuff like that that really ups this season for me. However, everything is not a dance on roses because there are some bad things in this season. There are not that many, but they are there. Especially one particular thing jumps to mind, and that is that this is unfortunately the trope that these Marvel series on Netflix has taken when they got into the second season, and that is, it is 2 seasons material put into 1. And I mentioned that in the beginning of this review. You have the girl and the people coming after her, and you have the Billy Russo thing. Now, they could have interwoven this in a meaningful way where one story benefited the other. However, they don't have anything to do with each other, unfortunately, and that is the problem. Now, I know you need to throw a lot of stuff into the season so it doesn't feel empty and just filler. But unfortunately, it does. What I mean by that is the thing with the girl is more interesting than the thing with Billy Russo. However, the thing with Billy Russo is something left over from the former season, so we need to address it. But this thing over here is new, is something different, it's something this series won, and we are taking the series in a new direction and involved it. But we need to address this. So what happens is you focus a lot on the thing with the girl for a few episodes. Then you focus a lot and only on the Billy Russo thing for a few episodes. And then it ping-pongs back and forth throughout the season. But these 2 things never collide in any way, but they should. They really should, but they don't. So it just feels like 2 extremely separated storylines that just go parallel with each other but have nothing to do with each other. Then there's another thing I didn't like, but that's mostly a gripe and a nitpick. But this series is called The Punisher. We expect to see The Punisher. I'm gonna tell you how much you see the Punisher in this show. You see him 3 times. And the last one is the best one, but it's only a 30-second, no, not even 30, maybe 10-second scene at the end of the season. Otherwise, you get 2 scenes with him as the Punisher, and they are very, very short. They are epic though, but they are short, which bums me out because that was my problem with the former season, is that we saw more Frank Castle and we saw the Punisher. I know why, because Frank Castle is the man behind the Punisher, but we still want to see the Punisher in action, killing bad guys, or at least bringing some extreme hurt. But no, we do, however, see Frank Castle fight bad guys, shoot up bad guys. We do see that, but we don't see the Punisher. We don't see him really embracing the skull on his chest and just go nuts. We see it 3 times. The reason for that, however, I think is that they didn't really see a way to fit him into this story that I've created. Fair enough. But when we do see the Punisher on screen, at least make it epic, at least make it stand out from the other action scenes we have seen. But again, that's just my issues with that. So I won't say this makes the series worse. I just say that this series could have been that much more great if they have focused more on the Punisher aspect, because we did focus a lot on Frank Castle on the former season. So maybe get the spotlight maybe to the Punisher more in this one. And then there's also a big issue with this season, and that is the fruition, the conclusion of these storylines are not that good. I mean, they're actually quite bad. And what I mean by that is that you have built up throughout 12 episodes these 2 storylines. And when you get to the end of it, it doesn't really feel satisfying. It just ends. And again, they could have brought these 2 storylines and colliding them with each other, and that will be the conclusion of it, or something else. But unfortunately, you just get wrapped up too easily, in my opinion, which is the bummer, because what you get out of these storylines is a personal journey for Frank Castle, Curtis, who is his one-legged black army man from the former season, and this young girl. And of course, Madani. If you can remember, Madani was the one who was in a relationship with Billy Russo, and now she has some issues with Billy Russo because he tried to kill her and stuff. But it is their personal journey that is the fruition throughout this season. And I understand that, but these storylines do need to mean something in this season. They need to conclude in a meaningful way. I don't care if it's in a good way for our characters and a bad way for our characters, but they do need to have an impact. The ending does need to have an impact besides them being free from this ordeal. But no, we don't really get that. And to me, I just see their personal journey as not as earned as it could have been if the ordeal has been better handled. Which brings me to the last thing I don't really like about this season. And you can call it a nitpick, but I don't really see it that way, but that's up to you to judge. And that is the face of Billy Russo. From the first episodes and then a few episodes forward, they hide him behind a mask. It is this mask right here. And they hide him. And you understand why. Because his face got fucked up at the end of the former season. No question about it. So he needs to be Scarface. No, he doesn't need to be. He needs to be Freddy Krueger under that mask to justify the usage of that mask. But they don't. A few episodes later, they're gonna remove the mask. And if you don't want that spoiled, that's fine. I'm not gonna give you a time code because it is over in a few seconds, but just jump forward, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds. But, already? This is what it looks like without the mask. That is a few scars, and that is that. Why do you need the mask? I understand that he was a pretty face, and now he's insecure because, and he also wasn't narcissistic, but he's insecure because of those small scars, but it is nothing. And I get that I wanted to focus more on the mental scars on him instead of the physical scars, but still, this is how it should have looked like. But this is what we got, and it just pisses me off because they made a big deal out of it in the end of the former season. Frank wanted his face to be really fucked up, so every time he looked himself in the mirror, he will remember Frank and all the things that he did to Frank, and then all the things that Frank did to him. I just don't get it. Why do media producers feel the need to make everything that is to be ugly or scar anything, make it beautiful or handsome or something like that? We saw it in Ready Player One with the birthmark on the girl I can't remember. We've seen it in Beauty and the Beast where it's just, I don't know, borderline furry? I mean, the man isn't that ugly. He just have some fur on his face and then some teeth. That is it. And now here, and I just don't get it. So what you get is you get a season with a personal journey for these few characters that I mentioned before. You get some great action. You get some extreme brutal fight scenes. You have interesting characters. You have an intriguing and interesting story. However, you do end up with the payoff not being as great as it building up to, and the Punisher is not really present as much as he should have been. But I will say that even considering all these flaws, The Punisher Season 2, you should watch it in cinema. Entertainment guaranteed. I gotta say, the 2 parallel storylines just really brought it down for me. And then again, the fact that we didn't really get to see The Punisher is it's just a bummer. So, have you seen Punisher Season 2? What do you think about it? And how do you gonna react when Netflix finally gonna, cancel this series? Because it is inevitable. They are gonna cancel this series. They're gonna announce it tomorrow. Maybe gonna announce it next month. But they are gonna cancel it. And then the next one who's gonna get, the axe is gonna be Jessica Jones after Season 3. If they're gonna continue these series on Disney's new streaming platform, then I hope they're gonna continue with the R rating. I'm not so sure. But if they don't, I really, really, really want a Punisher movie with Jon Bernthal. And it shouldn't be a new origin story. No, continue it from this series. Please, he was born to play this character, and I need to see more. He's pretty awesome. So, Punisher season 2. Have you seen it? What do you think about it? And how do you think it ranks amongst the other Punisher entries? We have Punisher season 1, we have Punisher season 2, we have Daredevil season 2, and we have 2 Punisher movies. Whatever you think, comment below with your thoughts. And as always, until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome. Bye! Why I'm not wearing a hoodie? I mean, I'm always wearing a hoodie in these videos. Oh, that's right, it needs to get cleaned, yeah, because